So glad you're with us on the Allon Exchange. Brad Johansson with the founders of Allon Planning Partners, Jay and Brittany Hagy, and a very special guest, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Terrell Davis. Nice to have
Brad,
you with us.
how you doing? Good to be here.
You going to hang with us for the whole show?
Absolutely.
I like that.
I got you.
I like that because you've kind of made it to the pinnacle. Most of you would like to make it to the pinnacle in your own way, which means I'd like to have money for the rest of my days and do what I want to do. TD, you did what you did as well as you could possibly do. I want to kind of spend some time on maybe a little financial education, if I can put it very simply, because we talk about making mistakes. None of us gets through this life without making a bunch of them.
That's right.
And TD, I want to take you back to the time when maybe the money starts coming in like you have never seen it before, and you go, man, I got it made in the shade. I'm going to be able to do this the rest of my life. I got money for the rest of my life. I've never had this much money. I'm going to play with it like I want to play with it. Did you have any financial advice as you were going into those days?
Yeah, so let me go back. This is when I retired.
Take me back.
I retired in 2002.
Okay.
I'm a single guy. Had a really good career. Didn't make as much money as people think because the NFL wasn't paying running backs like that.
Right.
But I was doing really well. And so when I retired, I realized that, okay, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Now, I had a financial advisor. We had a game plan. But somehow, I started thinking that I wanted to do something that made a lot of money.
You were a smart guy.
Yeah, because you get to phases in life where you think, I really want to go, grow, accumulate. I had this dream that I wanted to be owner of an NFL team.
Okay.
And so the plan that my advisor had was more of protection. It was more like slow growth, make sure we're not putting too much risk in these baskets. Right. And I was like, you know what? I want to go for it.
I'm
going for it. So I did something that I think a lot of people probably have done. And it wasn't smart at all. I took all my money out and I threw it all into real estate. And you guys remember real estate back then. This is the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was booming.
Real estate's rocking.
Oh, real estate was booming.
Absolutely.
It was booming, and I got into that boom, and it was great.
It's fantastic
It was
for a while.
But what I did not have, and I didn't have, so I'm not a trained professional at this. And so I'm doing something in a world where it's very risky.
Yeah.
I'm exposed. I don't have protections in what I'm doing. But the money's coming in, and I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah.
It's like, this is good. And then 2007 hit.
Yep.
2008
Good
hit.
until it wasn't.
That's right. That's right.
And it came crumbling down. And so once that happened, the mistakes that I made, I was a little ashamed of it because you think that somebody who's been through all of that would know.
I should have been
I should have been smarter than that. But I got a little greedy.
Well, it's natural to be that way, right? It's natural to say, hey, I want to make as much as I can.
Right.
Everybody that I talk to wants to make as much as they can and lose nothing.
Right, because when you look
everybody.
Because there's a value with money, right? When you look at it, you say, okay, if my money's sitting over there and it's making 1.5%, 2%, and I see something that it can make 30, 40%.
Why would I not do that?
Why wouldn't I go there?
Yeah.
I mean, help me out with that. I mean, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I'm like,
and when we're
I want to go in there.
What I heard is a lack of diversification.
That's what,
right?
Yeah.
It's like I went all in on this.
All chips.
And so
okay?
that's what we would never say, tell anyone to do is like, listen, you should have real estate. You should have all 5 asset classes working for you.
Right.
Cash, whether it's under the mattress or in your bank, right? Stocks, bonds, commodities, gold, oil, wheat, silver, things like this. But lack of diversification can get you in big trouble quick because if one of those asset classes goes down and you're only in that asset class, you find yourself on the losing end of the stick and you're like, man, this was going really well until it wasn't, right? And so that is where a good financial coach or an advisor should say, hey, this is great. You should have this in your portfolio. It shouldn't be the only thing that you focus on, right? And so that was
my problem was like, I didn't want to hear anybody give, at that point I was like,
you were making the money.
Well, not that too, but it's like, I wanted to make a decision, and I knew my advisor would advise me against that.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. I was
because he was too conservative.
He was smart. I mean, he was smart. He was smart, and he had a plan, and his plan was working. I was with him for a long time, and it was a great plan. But I should have. I mean, obviously, retrospect is hindsight's 20/20. But I only tell this story because I know people out there are watching
Right.
this, and I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. Like, yeah, there's going to be some great opportunities out there, but at the same time, you have to. You talked about what Jay talks about is you have to diversify your portfolio. You can't be all in. It's almost like a football game where you got one game plan.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna run the football. We're gonna run. Every play's gonna be a run. Well, what if the
It's
defense
not
is
working.
just
Stack the box.
What you gonna do?
Adjust.
Well, if you can,
Yeah.
you can't adjust in the football game if that's your game plan during
That's all
that
you have.
game, and that's all you have.
It's hard to do that on the fly.
It is hard to go
Yeah.
and say, all right, now we're going to throw the ball across the, around the yard when we don't have a wide receiver or quarterback can't throw.
That's right.
We can't protect up front. How are we going to throw the ball?
Perspective. So you go back and look at the perspective of when I said, well, your advisor was too conservative. My advisor was smart.
He was smart. He was right.
But that's perspective in dealing with this, Brittany. How many people are coming in and saying, I know better. I can do this. And a lot of people probably walking into the office saying, I'd like a second opinion. I'm not necessarily going to use it. I just want somebody to tell me I'm right. How many people are coming in with their own plan?
That happens pretty frequently. They just want a stamp of approval on
Yeah.
this is what I'm wanting to do, and I'm looking for you to tell me because my son tells me I need another opinion or something, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm here because I have to be here, and I just want you to okay this. And unfortunately, there are times where, sometimes we can say that. You know what? You are on track,
Sure.
and we can affirm that. That happens. Most of the time, though, it's the opposite, where hey, you've missed this or you forgot about this.
Yeah,
or,
there's two sides of that pendulum, right? And the pendulum either says, I know everything, and I just want you to stamp and tell me that I'm right because I'm not going to listen to anything else. Or the other one's like, I've made these mistakes and I'm ashamed. I actually don't want you to even see what's going on in my financial
I would have been
situation.
the first one. I would have been the first one.
Right?
there.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hey,
that's.
Jay, just look at this. I'm
Yeah.
right.
I'm
right.
like, I'm making
I'm
30%.
good,
I'm
right?
right.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
good, right?
So there's pendulums. What I'm trying to get everybody to is the middle ground and say, listen, you've probably done some really good things and have some really good ideas because you wouldn't have gotten to this place if you didn't, right? But you also don't know everything about everything because the perspective that you have is emotionally, we go back to that, I'm tied to these dollars, right? And so as long as I'm winning, I'm hero. But I start losing, I realize really quickly I should have listened to this some perspective, right? Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do is say we should all be coachable. All of us. Like Brittany and I talk to other folks and individuals about our personal finances, right? So that we have some perspective outside of just our own emotion. I think everyone should have a financial coach, period. That's obviously why we're so passionate about it. And so we
no
came
matter
from a
what
different
stage
story.
of life, no matter where you are in your journey, it can make or break. Just
That's
like
right.
you talked about before in a conversation about your coach
Yeah.
and how a coach really can build you up and call you into your full potential, or keep you under where you are, right? It really is the same way with finances.
I want to come back to, you came back from 2008. So you lose a lot.
Yeah.
Did you make mistakes? And what did you fail forward on after those moments in 2008?
I have an advisor. It's that, but it was the big picture was never to be vulnerable like that again. Not looking at something. Do I still make investments that are somewhat
Questionable?
Well, not questionable, but like
Higher risk.
Higher risk, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
but not with your entire
Exactly.
portfolio.
Correct.
Like there's very strategic times where it's like, all right, I see something as an opportunity.
Right.
All right, let's peel off a little bit. And then it's like, how much can I stomach if it goes south?
That's right.
Right? How much can I stomach?
See, and
if it
that's
goes
the
south?
right question to ask.
Yeah.
Helping people realize, okay,
Yeah.
if this did go south,
Because you almost you pretty much have to plan on that, saying, all right, if it goes south, then
That's right.
am
Can
I
I
okay
eat
with
it?
it?
Am
Can
I
eat
okay with eating it?
Yeah, right. And that's what I started doing. But the bulk of what I have is it's in very safe things, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, stuff like that. But it really is about where you are in your life. When I was there, I was 28 years old, 29 years old. I had no family, single guy. So that time, it felt pretty, well, at least to me, it felt good.
Yeah.
But no, I knew it. It was a little bit of greed going on.
Yeah, man.
But I've learned, and I try to pass on to other people too. That the biggest thing is get a second opinion about what you're doing.
That's right.
Biggest thing you can do, because we have our own beliefs, and when someone pitches you something or you're looking at something, you got to have other people on your team who are looking at that to
Right.
say, TD, I keep going back to this. I can't see the back of my head. So I can't see what's happening everywhere. Now, if I have a team of people around me, they have my right and my left, they have the back, they can
right.
see everything. And now, collectively, I have information where I can say, okay, there's a number of people who might say, don't mess with it. Some might say they do. But your advisor is basically that entire team.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because your advisor has a team. And they come, and he's basically the head coach of the team who comes back and says, here's what we believe is in the best interest of you.
That's right.
You know what?
Period.
You said it. It was probably some of greed. And for a lot of people, fear and greed are the emotions that drive some of our decisions that really cause a lot of the problems. And TD also talked about it. You know, when at that point at 28, I'm risk tolerant. But now as you're entering retirement, what's your risk capacity? Do you have the ability to lose this? Do you know whether or not you're diversified? We're talking about financial education and getting a second opinion to understand that it's okay that you don't know how to do this retirement thing like you've been doing the other thing for 40 years in your life. Make a phone call for some help. Let's put a team together to make your retirement great. 866-691-71, nope, that's 7317, 7317. You see the number on your screen. Click the QR code. Come on in and get Jay and Brittany's book as well that will take you into and through retirement so the money lasts the way you want to use it. 866-691-7317. Be right back.
You have to have a plan. You know, from what I found, we call it the sleep well at night plan, the SWAN plan.
Yeah, a comprehensive plan is extremely important for individuals, families, couples, anyone who is working with their finances. You've got to have more than just an investment.
If we have a plan and know that we can follow step by step a plan that's going to get us to our ultimate goal, we can have trust in that plan to anchor us in those tumultuous times.
And so we're able to really show them, hey, there's all these other things that really come into play.
So it's real important for us to really create those unique plans for people. And it's not just like, well, my neighbor's doing this, so I'm okay.
You got to think about your taxes. You got to think about your health care. You know, you got to think about a number of things that really impact the whole of your financial situation, especially for couples. And we talk about this a lot, that at minimum, both spouses should at least be informed.
Ultimately, we want everyone to not just, you know, be wandering through life and hope that they make it to the goals that they have. We want to put a written step-by-step plan together so that you actually know how to get to those financial goals. Because if you don't have a plan in place to get you through some of those times and you don't have financial security, that's something else that is added to that stress level that can push you overboard.
So glad you're with us on the Allon Exchange. Brad Johansson along with Brittany and Jay Hagy, along with our special guest, TD, Terrell Davis, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Nice to have you there. TD was talking about some of the worst of times financially that he has rebounded from. Fear and greed may have played into that. Greed on one of the sides. I know your story, Jay and Brittany. I think people need to know a little bit about your story as you moved in, because you took a leap of faith in moving into this step as well. And there was a lot of fear probably that may have kept you from where you've gotten to right now.
Oh, absolutely. And so we were talking during the break, and like, you know, I appreciated Terrell telling his story and saying, you know, I was kind of pushed by greed a little bit, right? Because the way that I see this financial journey is there's two ditches you want to stay away from if you're standing in the middle of the road. That's away from fear and away from greed, because either one of those controlling your life is a terrible boss.
It's a nightmare.
You'll be controlled either to go and you'll go to broke on either stance, honestly. And so I think for our story, we grew up in an era that was more on the fear side of things, right? To where you know, we were going to save, we were going to have the money we needed to survive, but it wasn't about thriving. It wasn't about reaching for more. It was about staying in survival mode, right? And you're afraid to move anywhere farther away from that because you may lose what you already have, right? And so when we started training people and getting a passion for financial education, I had to look in the mirror at our own life and say, how am I doing with this, right? And it's very uncomfortable when when you have to look in the mirror. Yeah, and you know. I felt an unction to go and start a financial business to help folks get out of the situations that they were in. Not so much that they weren't, and I'm glad we can now, controlled by greed, but you know, you don't have to just survive. You can thrive. Right. You can take risks that are calculated, that are actually, if you have a game plan, you can win, right? And that's what we wanted to help coach people in, because we come from a spot to where I was in a full-time ministry role, like making a very good income for what we needed for our family. I was very comfortable. I was surviving. I was doing well. And when we started this business, we had to say all chips in.
It was one of those moments, all or nothing.
We had to leave the steady security of a full-time position and say, we know we're supposed to educate folks in this financial industry, in this financial world, and we are pushing all in. We had very little money to do so. We had like 3 months worth of expenses before, if we didn't get a new client, man, if we didn't have a client come on board, we could have been in serious financial trouble. Now, looking back, what I told myself, like, that's probably the best thing to do. No, but sometimes you have to take those leaps of faith, and you have to seize the opportunity, because if you don't, you'll never have the opportunity, maybe again, to be able to do what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, if you're retiring, once you only get that goes to you two having a plan in moving forward of trying to figure out how we're going to get there, and it's one step at a time.
Yeah, it is. And it really, people who, really even us, how we were so focused on, man, in those moments, the security and the stability, the consistency of that coming in, man, that took such prominence, that took such importance in our financial picture. Like we just want to depend on the security of it, right? And so we had to make a shift to say, okay, do we want to live this paycheck to paycheck mode? Or is there another way? Yeah. And what was so beautiful about it is that it wasn't just about, for us personally, knowing that, hey, we want to move into better for our family. It was, we saw a need. We saw a huge need within the community that we were in. Folks did not know where to glean information when it came to financial education. How do I invest? How do I save? How do I plan for retirement? What even is financial planning? What all goes into that? What does that all entail? And there was just a gap. Yeah. And folks needed that education. And so as we began teaching within the church realm, we realized, man, the young folks don't really know where to begin. The older folks are like, well, I've saved a little bit, but I don't really have much. I've kind of lived paycheck to paycheck, and I don't know how to retire. Can I even retire? And the folks in the middle are just like living life. They're happy. We're making money. We're spending. And it's like, there's no plan. And so our desire for more in life, not just financially, but purpose, right? Growing in our purpose as well, took us to that place to where there's a need. We want to help meet this need and help folks realize you can become educated, you can learn and walk this out and experience stability, and then take some risks like we're talking about, not in taking your whole nest egg and putting it all in like that, but taking some risks along the way to really get you to where
that's
you
why we
be.
very rarely make blanket statements like everybody should be in this, or everybody should be in that, or everybody should do this. I was telling TD earlier, it's a very individualistic. Yeah. And that seems like a cop-out a lot of times, because like people just want answers. Hey, what could make me wealthy? Do this, right? And there is no one magic pill for this. It's very individualistic. So we have a very streamlined process to plan folks to get to where they want to get to, right? The game plan along the way. Where do you actually want to be? Maybe you want more time. Maybe it's about like, I want to buy my time back and I want my freedom. Maybe it's if I don't want to have to, go to work 9 to 5, I don't have to, right? So how can we best game plan to get you situationally exactly where you want to be? And I think that's what the perspective we try to bring to every client that comes in the office.
TD, you've made those mistakes, come back, are in the financial industry. Why is it so important to have some financial education for everybody to understand what they're doing moving forward to be able to game plan for this?
Because we all have to deal with finances.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all have
Can't get away from it.
Can't get away from it. It is the one thing that we all have to deal with it, whether you have a little money, you have a lot of money, or you're in between.
Right.
It is necessary for our survival.
Right.
I am in the process right now working with a lot of youth right now with trying to do education on financial literacy. I have a book that's out. It's called Wesley. Well, it's a co-project with a gentleman. His name is Prince Dykes, and he has a little book. It's a very easy read book. I mean, really easy.
I like easy reads.
I mean, it's for kids though, right? So it's really easy, and it's like 5 series. Like one is Wesley. His son is Wesley, and it's Wesley learns insurance. Wesley learns investments. Wesley learns whatever, right? And so these little series of books is that we are going and raising money to distribute thousands of them to little kids, so they
Start early.
Start early.
Yeah.
Start
Right.
early.
Right.
Start early. I mean, and that's where we have failed, I believe, as a country.
Right.
They don't teach this in high school. It's not taught. You have to go to college and be a major in economics or something like that. But it needs to be in general studies.
That's
We
right.
need to know the basics: savings, investment accounts.
That's right.
Knowing exactly what insurance company, so you're not charged. I mean, it's just basic living.
right.
How do you manage your finances is what we're trying to teach these young people.
I love that.
Instead of using a card that has a 20% interest rate on it, try to use cash or just,
That's right.
or at least have like QuickBooks
Create a
or
spending
Quicken or
plan.
something
Yeah.
that you know where you can manage your money. And I'm working with some of these college athletes who are dealing with NIL money now.
Yep.
And this is they
different beast.
You
Yeah,
talked
it's a
about
different
it.
one.
You talking about taxes?
Yeah.
Brand new game.
You're talking about taxes and how some of these guys are going to get hit with taxes. They don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like it is going to be a game
It's-
changer.
yeah,
So
that's
learn
absolutely right.
early. It will. I promise you, it will. It's worth it.
This is why we're here,
Yeah.
to help educate. 866-691-7317. You start early. A lot of us didn't get to start until after we're done working. We don't know how to do this. It's okay to not know. That's why we're here. We want you to call 866-691, complimentary appointment to help you educate, 7317. Those are the final numbers. Click the QR code if you're struggling to dial like I'm struggling to give you the numbers. Call now. Let's get you in the office. Let's help educate. Let's make it the retirement of your dreams. Be right back.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
So glad you're with us on the Allon Exchange. We don't have much time. I want to get to understanding, as all of us are talking about, why it's so important that it's okay not to know everything, but it's not okay to do nothing. Talk to me about, we talk about this all the time, Jay, this Vanguard study. And Vanguard's a do-it-yourself kind of
They
place.
are.
So what happened on the
Yeah,
study?
Vanguards, they set their flag up saying, well, you can do it yourself, you can invest yourself. And they were really trying to disprove, that an advisor actually helps, in scenarios of accumulation, we should say. So they took a $500,000 self-managed account and set it up against a $500,000 advisor-managed account over a 25-year period. Now, the first one, self-managed, grew to $1.69 million. 500,000 to 1.67 by yourself.
stuff.
You did really good, right? The advisor account grew to $3.4 million on the same time period, so doubled it. How is that possible, right? And so they broke it down to different areas that advisors actually help in. The biggest and largest percentage is perspective. The largest percentage is behavioral coaching, meaning, am I making the right moves at the right time? And having someone besides yourself telling you I'm making the right moves because it feels good, right? I'm emotionally being led there. Behavioral coaching showed up huge in this study, saying if you have the right advisor, the right coach, a fiduciary that's working on your behalf, you're going to have double the amount of wealth that you could have if you're just doing this by yourself and trying to get by. So I thought that was a huge study to look at. And currently, they also showed that only 38% of Americans are working with an advisor right now.
That's it.
What's everybody else doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so if you're not working with an advisor, or you're thinking, you know, is the advisor fiduciary that I'm actually working with, get a second opinion. Let's look at it.
Well, I think a lot of people are on social media. They're on the internet. And because you can Google everything nowadays.
YouTube, man.
YouTube,
Yeah.
I think people feel like, well, why do I need an advisor?
Do it yourself.
I can just go online and look this stuff up.
You bet.
And go watch some of these shows, you know.
That's
go watch
correct.
MSNBC and watch,
Yeah.
you know.
Here's the problem. Whom do you trust? You're dealing with social media. Is it accurate?
Yeah.
You're watching someone on TV. Is it accurate? You may be doing that with us right now. But the thing is, you have to trust who you're going to.
That's right.
And you have to find a second opinion, because nobody knows it all. You've seen this throughout your career.
It's not my profession. It's not that. But Jay's mentioned something, emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Having an advisor removes the emotions from you.
That's right.
And that, to me, was a huge piece. You know, you're making things, you're making decisions, and now it's all, you have this emotional connection to it.
Yeah.
Someone needs to say, and it happened to me before, but, you know, I gave the stiff arm because my guy was telling me. He was telling me.
Yeah.
And again, it turned out that he was right about
And there's
what I
the
was
extreme, but there again, fear and greed are those emotions, right? So it's fear of missing out with the greed.
That's what
I'm
it
going to
is.
miss out.
FOMO, yeah.
It's FOMO. I'm missing out, or fear of losing everything. So I'm not going to move because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it all, right? If you're not led by sound advice and you're led by either one of those emotions, you're going to make some bad decisions. That's why we're here. That's why we're here to help be a sounding board for you, to give you sound advice that you can trust.
TD, appreciate your honesty.
Thank you, Brian.
and
Appreciate it, man.
humility.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being with us. As always, we just want you to call, come into the office, get some perspective. Let's get you down the middle of the road to the retirement of your dreams. 866-691-7317. Click the QR code. We can't wait to see you in the office. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.